What is going on, everyone? Michael Sparacino here, presenting to you the first episode of Pucks and Brews, the new pod starting it off on the right foot. I'm here with Brendan Mulroy and Brandon Wojno, my two ex-co-hosts from our former podcast, Backup Blue Shirts, but this isn't Backup Blue Shirts anymore. We're bringing to you Pucks and Brews. And Brendan, how you doing?
Good, Shades. How are you, man? How's everything?
All right, this is just a re-recording because of technical difficulties, but I'm doing good. How are you doing,
Yeah,
Woj?
I'm good. I was really excited yesterday, but like you said, it's some technical difficulties, and I broke my spell. I've been drinking actually every weekend, but I'm gonna have to drink again tonight.
There is the
yeah,
unsponsored brew of the episode, ladies and
yeah.
gentlemen.
So
If you want to get in on this, all you have to do is crack open a brew of your choice, sit back and listen to some hockey talk.
yeah, Shades. I'm speaking of hockey talk. Why don't we dive right into the Rangers? We'll
Yeah.
talk about the first game. I mean, there's only been two games so far, but we'll jump into the first game, and it wasn't a good one, Shades. And like we were saying yesterday, we were joking around. I was like, thank God we waited till after the second game to record because wow, that first game was bad.
Yeah, it wasn't good. It might have been like the worst game since the bubble. I mean,
Well, I
even
mean,
like
there
all
was
last
only
year.
one.
Yeah,
At that point, there was
pretty
only
much.
one.
Yeah, but even last year, I don't remember it being that bad. Islanders are a really good team, but I mean, to get blown out 4-0, like if they're not playing for so long, you get it because a lot of fatigue and have not fatigue, but not playing for a while, you kind of get stuck in a rut. But
Yeah,
they really showed up the second game.
Yeah,
yeah.
just
You
the
you
and on the negatives, just because we have to talk about him. Kevin Rooney, he got into a accidental collision with Ross Johnston. He's going to be out until further notice. That didn't look too good, unfortunately, and he was probably one of the better Ranger players throughout that game. And then, of course, the unsportsmanlike conduct and penalties to Tony DeAngelo, who was subsequently scratched for the second game because of them.
Yeah, and just to even touch more on the first game, I mean, obviously we didn't have our legs, but we gave up, a 2 goal lead within the first 5 minutes, and that's never good against the Islanders because we know of their defensive system. Yeah, but the Rangers really just didn't have their legs in that first game, and like you said, Woj, they kind of looked like they did when they were in the bubble against Carolina. Just
Yeah.
nobody was. It didn't look like anybody was skating.
Mhm.
The only positive, I guess, is that it was Lafreniere's and Miller's first game, but I don't know if that was too much of a positive to get blown
One
out. But
one of the positives I think was actually I'm surprised how cool the Chase logo looks on the helmet. I
that
actually
is
didn't mind
actually
that.
that actually is really true. Out of all the
Looks cool.
helmets, I will say the Chase one doesn't bother me that bad.
The
So the
coolest
Rangers
one
got
might
that
be
right.
Nashville's Bridgestone one, which is like a red and black B on it. Which like you look at the team if you didn't know they're doing ads, you'd look at it and be like, "Was this a logo? When did they start using this?"
Yeah, for sure. And just I feel like the defense in that first game too. Just they were in. There was really no defense. I mean, obviously Johnson, he didn't start off his Rangers debut too well. Shades, you already mentioned D'Angelo, but even Miller, it was his first game, so we could give him the pass. And he definitely stepped it up in the second game too, for sure. But yeah, it wasn't a good start, but we actually, we managed to rebound in game two, winning it 5-0.
Yeah, no, and like you just said, winning 5-0 after losing 4-0. The first two games, like, literally encapsulates the entirety of the Rangers last season, where it was just a tale of two teams throughout the season. If the offense showed up, they were great. If the offense didn't show up, the defense was not there to hold the team up.
Yeah, and especially the top six for us, they definitely were not there in game one, and I think we're going to need them to show up because I don't know if we are going to get that depth scoring, but it was nice to see the third line stepping up in the second game as well. They did make a couple lineup changes, dropping Kako off that second line, and you mentioned the Rooney injury, so that ended up bringing Phil DiGiuseppe into the lineup, and that was actually a nice addition to the lineup, I thought.
Yeah, the Italian stallion, Phil Giuseppe.
If only I had an Italian flag, like, right here, then we'd be
Oh
living.
yeah.
But
I was gonna say
honest,
the one thing that you notice right away like I hate to like be critical, but Mika was like kind of invisible that first game. That second game though, like right off the jump, you could see how hard he was forechecking, which led to Bucha's goal.
Yeah.
That was
I
pretty
mean,
big.
everybody, yeah, it was like Shade said. I mean, it was like two opposite teams. I mean, even defensively, Jacob Truba probably played one of the better games I've seen him play in a Rangers uniform. And Shades with Tony D'Angelo out of the lineup, they ended up bringing Brendan Smith back into the lineup. And I honestly don't think we could have asked for a better performance from Smith. That was probably one of his better performances as a Ranger, I thought as well.
Yeah, the one that like the two main things that I think really jolted the team was first off, I'm giving Quinn full credit for these two decisions, and they ended up being the right decisions. One, moving Lafreniere up to the line to play with Panarin. That line was just money all night. And going into the season, I was not a fan of breaking up Ryan Lindgren and Adam Fox, but putting Lindgren with Truba that second game, if they continue to do that, I am all for that pairing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that, I mean, I felt like everybody kind of had a not, they weren't thinking that Tony D'Angelo and Johnson line was going to be a good line. And I think they were pretty much right on it.
Yeah.
I think we all were pretty much right on that not being, that just sounded like a disaster of a line. And obviously we saw what unfolded in the first game. But yeah, I agree with you, Shades. Adding Lindgren with Truba was a great pair because I felt like it actually even sparked up Truba a little bit. We saw him even going after guys after whistles, and just, we know Lindgren's going to get sticked in the face and be bleeding because that's just what he does every game.
Every game, death taxes and Lindgren getting hit in the face by something.
No, but I think Lindgren proved last season that he is the team's best defensive defenseman. So, like, if he can keep that quality of play up, I mean, he's our future first pair shutdown D man on the left side.
Yeah, next Dan Girardi.
Except, left-handed and on the left side.
Yeah. So they both have fives on the
yeah, exactly. He's basically
Girardi. Double Girardi,
Yeah. One thing I say, like, I know fans don't like it when rookies play on like a bottom line, but Miller is obviously going to get a lot better when the time comes. Hopefully he does. But when you want to give one of your rookies, like, give him some time, like give him the third pair. Don't give him too much minutes. Limit him. Keep him just making defensive plays and not doing too much where he tries to bring his confidence up, and it kind of gets shot down if he screws up, especially going against someone like Barzal or Brock Nelson or Lee. He'll do a lot better against players like Cizikas and Johnston.
Yeah, and Miller, you could tell in the second game he was already stepping it up. Like his stick checking was much better, and even his confidence of just breaking out of the zone was a way better as well. So the rookies had a good show in the second game. Unfortunately, in Lafreniere, no points yet, but I'm sure we'll get a goal and some points possibly against the Devils.
There are a few things though you see, like Lafreniere, like you'd think it wouldn't be kind of some like not tension, like they're obviously on the same team between him and Kakko, him being the first overall and Kakko being second the year before and not having like a great season. But they showed the clip where they're getting ready to go off the ice into the locker room, and he's like patting Kakko on the back. He's like, "Yo, let's do this." And it really helps to show, like, even a young guy going up to a guy that's only been in the league a year. He's like, "Yo, I have your back," whatever. He's like, "It's just not me being a rookie here. Like, I'm all in on the team."
Yeah, like you said, Kakko and Lafreniere, they look significantly better, along with Miller as well, the second game. I mean, Miller he wasn't bad the first game, but he wasn't necessarily good. Like, it's like one of those weird games where, like, you're not really bad, but, like, you do nothing to stand out on the positive end.
I mean, I think Truba didn't help his case in that first game as well. He was doing a lot of pinching and not really making the plays offensively, and he was really just kind of being a liability out there for Miller, unfortunately.
Yeah, I wasn't trying to take a shot at Miller. I'm not trying to take a shot at him.
I mean, we can't talk about the second game without talking about Georgiev, and also on the Islanders and having the rookie Sorokin play after Clutterbuck hit Varlamov in warmups with a shot and ended up taking him out. So that was unfortunate for the Islanders and kind of unfortunate for Sorokin also having to make his debut against the Rangers.
A Rangers team that came to play, no less.
Yeah, that was obviously in our benefit. But I mean, it's going to be interesting this year, with Georgiev and Shesty, because they both playing good. I mean, Chesty didn't play good necessarily in the first game, but I feel like we didn't help his case. But I know that we are going to be starting Gorgiev next game, but how could you not after that performance?
Yeah.
Any thoughts on that, boys? And
Both.
just Chesty and Gorgiev in general?
I mean, yeah, Shesterkin got hung out to dry a little bit in the first game. And you can tell that's easily like a goalie that has been playing a lot recently in the last few months. I mean, neither of them have, but the team played a lot better in front of Georgiev. And he's like, I forgot what his record was, but he's a bit of an Islanders killer. Like he's got a
Yeah, I
pretty
think
solid
he's
record against them.
Yeah,
I
it was
think he's like
3-1
6
last
into
season, right?
Yeah, he's been great against the Islanders.
I'll
After that
take
first
it.
game, I was shocked. I wasn't shocked that he was in the net. I don't think
Yeah.
that was much of a debate. But no, it's good to see him playing good. I mean, I feel like hopefully he can show up like that because, there might be some situations this season, it being a shortened season, that they might be some back-to-back games. So he might need to step in. But he is going to get the start against the Devils next game. And I believe I read that there will be no lineup changes for the next game against the Devils. So that means Tony DeAngelo is also going to be scratched again.
Yeah, just one final thought. Like we said, like the Georgiev versus Shesterkin thing, it's like we can't really get a fair assessment on either one of them through 2 games because, like Woj said, Shesterkin was left out to dry the first game, and then when Georgiev came in the second game, the team played so much better to the point where you couldn't really get a good read on Georgiev either because he wasn't really tested that much.
Yeah, no, for sure. The only shot I felt like that was, like wow, was the tip in front.
Yep.
That I was it Lee or maybe it was Nelson. I don't know who was in front, but they ended up tipping. It was on the power play. He made a nice save early, but Shades, like you said in our recording yesterday,
That was for nothing.
not even that, but just what you were saying, it was like Chesty must have been like, wow, shit, this is what it felt like to be Lundqvist for the last like 3 years, basically, where your
3?
team kind of doesn't show. Well, not even longer than
15.
that, but more like 15, yeah. No, but especially the last couple of years where it's like basically 2 different teams showing up every night. So I think Chesty will be fine. I'm not really concerned about him, to be honest.
Woj, what are your final thoughts on the first 2 games?
It's a shortened season, but it's gonna be a long one. You're playing everybody in the division 8 times, and these teams are really competitive, especially in this division. I think it might be one of the better ones, if not the best. But there's gonna be a lot of tests. I mean, this team obviously isn't ready. I think they got another year and a half until they're fully competitive. Once you get a full, solid 4th line down, like something like the Bruins have had an awesome 4th line all the last few years, and the Islanders had a really good 4th line last year, which is why they can go so far.
Yeah, no,
You need
like
someone to need some stability, especially in your depth.
Yeah, no, like you said, I also think this team is a year away because cap restraints, dead cap money on the books. I think we'll be in a better position next year, both in terms of financial situations and just on the ice being able to acquire better players.
Yeah, like Dubois will be a Ranger.
Hey, that would be nice. I'm game. I'd go for it. I like him, so I think he's a good player, especially for how young he is. So
yeah,
and especially at the value that he's at right now as well. Just to add, he's like on a 2-year, $5 million a year deal, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Starting this year,
he's a guy that would be perfect on this current Rangers team.
Yeah, I mean, look, you have Panarin who went from Columbus, kind of like know-nothing city, to right to the Rangers, which he wants to be in a big city. And they're 2 very different people, but I could see, the connection with Davidson. I think he might have drafted him. Well, Kekalainen did, but I mean, he was a part of the organization that took him. So who knows? Maybe if he likes Davidson enough and he was really good with Panarin, maybe it'll sway his opinion to come here instead.
Yeah, would be nice. Yeah. So you guys want to go right into the season playoff predictions?
Yes, let's just get right into it, Shades. You guys want to start with the East?
Yeah, all right. Here we go. The Massmutual East Division playoff predictions. I'll go first since I'm talking about it. Number 1, I got Philadelphia Flyers. I think last year, had the season not paused, they would have been the top seed, arguably the top seed in the Eastern Conference, but I don't remember exactly where Tampa was ahead of them, just because, I'm not going to go back up and look up old standings for no reason, but I think they have the best team on paper in the division. And like I said, they were red hot before the pause last season. Number 2, Washington Capitals. New coach. They had some time off. They're not in the bubble this year, so they didn't look like they wanted to be in the bubble to begin with. I think no bubble is going to help them. They're going to get a nice kick in the ass. I like some of the moves they made, and I think they can finish ahead of the Bruins, who I have number 3, the reigning President's Trophy champions. Yes, they lost Krug. Yes, they lost Chara. But I still think, they're the reigning President's Trophy champions. They have enough, and I think they can take the number 3 seed. And lastly, but not least, the Buffaloes. No, I'm just kidding. I got the New York Islanders, the reigning Eastern Conference finalists in the playoffs. I mean, cohesive unit, cohesive team, solid defensive team, very opportunistic with their scoring. And I think I would get shamed on every social media platform if I didn't include them, because they were literally one of the last 2 East teams standing last year.
Yeah, for sure. Shades, I feel like we have pretty similar teams. I have the Flyers as well winning the division. I like a lot of the players they have up front. I mean, obviously, ex-Ranger Hayes, that's always my boy. But Konechny as well, he's already been on a rampage this year. Is Couture out, did you say, Woj?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
still have Voracek, still have Giroux. They have plenty of talent up front. Obviously on defense, just they have plenty of people as well. Provorov, he's sick, and Carter Hart and net. Carter Hart net.
No one's going to
Carter Hart and net. It's nice when you have one of the best young goalies in the game as well in net. At second, I have the Islanders, Shades. I think last year we saw how good they could be making it to the Eastern Conference Finals. I don't know. They have depth up front, and with Trotz as coach, we know how good they can play defensively. And I don't know if scoring is necessarily going to be an issue, but we'll see what happens. But I just feel like even if they could score a couple goals a game, defensively, we know they could lock it down. Third, I have the Capitals, Shades, because you can never count Ovi out. You can never count those guys they have up front. Backstrom, Kuznetsov, Oshie, Chara on the back end as well. Not sure if he could skate so much anymore, but not sure he could really ever skate in the first place.
That's like a giraffe.
And yeah. And the Russian goalie in that as well, right? Samsonov.
Yep.
Yeah.
See if he can make push. You hear a lot of good things about him. And also, I don't think for them losing Holtby is really going to be that much. I don't think it's going to hurt them that much, because if you saw the way he played in the bubble, it's not the Holtby that was playing for them back in the cup. And at 4, Shades, this is where I disagree a little bit. I'm actually going to take the Rangers. I think I'm pretty optimistic on the Rangers, but I don't know. Boston's defense to me is, I don't know if they got it. I mean, losing Krug, obviously one of their best defensive players. The defense is kind of looking a little young right now for them. Kind of similar to the Rangers, I guess you could say, but we'll see what happens there. But I don't know. I like the Rangers' firepower up front. Obviously, if the top 6 can show up, you never know what Rangers team you're going to get on a nightly basis. But if we can get what we saw in Game 2, I'm pretty confident the Rangers can make the playoffs just with all the talent they have up front. And I guess, a question mark for the Rangers is really, I'm not so concerned about the goaltending. I'm more concerned about the defense. So we'll see what happens. But I got the Rangers at 4.
Nice.
Sneaking in.
Woj, who you got?
Well, I mean, I think it's clear cut. Number 1 is going to be Philly. Like you said, they have so much depth down the middle. They got a bunch of good wingers, a bunch of young guys. Provorov who's going to win Norris one day. They have Carter Hart.
Carter
Hart. Which you can never count him out. I mean, he's had some struggles being a young goalie, but I think this is the year where he finally makes the big jump to looking like a top 5 goalie in the league, if not top 10. Second, I'm going to go with, I guess I'll just go with Washington. Same thing. I mean, you guys can't really count those guys out. It's a veteran team, which I think in a season like this, it's gonna come in handy when it comes to rivalries and playing a bunch of teams a lot and figuring out how certain teams play. They're gonna get used to it and realize exactly what they have to do night in, night out. Third, I'll go the Rangers because I'm pretty high on them. Like you said, their defense is the only real question mark next to their depth performance, but other than the fourth line. And they're pretty strong all the way through from the first to the third. They got a really strong top four, and they have two of the better young goalies in the league, I think. And not many people think of Georgiev as that much, which is something you want to underestimate because he's gone out and showed that he could actually play in this league and probably be a starter on most teams. And then at 4, I have the Sabres just because I wanted to throw something wild in there. It is a crazy year. It's something a lot different that no one's obviously never seen before, I'm pretty sure. And they have guys like Eichel, Hall. Hopefully Middlestat has a lot better year this year, could play steady in the lineup. Dahlin's going to take another jump, I think. And they still have Ristolainen. The goaltending is an issue. But like I said, I think in a weird year like this, you're going to see something wild happen.
Yes, motivated Jack Eichel is
if he loses this year, he's out of Buffalo.
Yeah, I can see that happening.
He's getting out.
That's going to be someday in the hockey world when he gets dealt.
Yeah. And we'll see what happens as well. If Taylor Hall decides he's going to stay the whole year there as well, so that should be interesting.
Yep.
I guess it depends on how well they start playing, But Shades, which division should we do next?
Just final thoughts. I would have put the Rangers in, but after I saw them play in the bubble, that just no. Even with Lafreniere, even with Miller, just
I don't think they're gonna do a bubble this year. All the players said they hated it so much. You wonder what it's gonna be like months from now, but it's gonna be interesting how they do it.
No, but Brendan even said it earlier. I forget the exact words you used, but it's just like you never know what team you're going to get on a nightly basis, which is why I couldn't put them in the top 4. Sorry, fellow Ranger fans, but I just couldn't do it. I picked the Rangers against Carolina, couldn't do it this time around.
We get it. You're actually an Islanders fan. This is where Shades breaks out.
I'm
actually
joining.
He's nowhere.
I'm low key
joining a
Vegas Golden Knights fan.
Same. Shades, which division should we do next? You want to do the Central?
So let's move on to the Discover Central division.
I love those ads.
Brendan, you started off this time.
Shades, I think like the East Division, I think we have a clear-cut number 1 here in Tampa Bay. I mean,
not Detroit? No, I'm just kidding.
I don't think I really need to explain much about Tampa. Obviously, they're just a complete powerhouse up front, powerhouse defensively with Sergachev and Hedman. There's a lot of Hedman can possibly win another Norris. Vasilevsky and net. With Kucherov out in this division, I'm not really sure if that's going to be an issue. Last year they didn't have Stamkos for much of the year, and he's their captain as well. So for them to play well without even their captain, to me, is like it. I don't think it's going to be an issue for them. This division gets really, really tricky. Shades. I feel like I probably put the Hurricanes at 2, just because I feel like they did pick up a couple big pieces, but I think defensively they also are one of the better teams with Hamilton, Pesci. Give me a couple more defensemen that they have, because I know they have more than that. Jacob Slavin, that's who I was thinking of. Yeah, Brady Shea, exactly, ex-Ranger. And also a nice addition for them depth-wise is Jesper Foss as well. We know how Carolina could play. I mean, they destroyed us last year in the playoffs. So the question mark for me is really the goalie, the goaltending for them. But I think as well, I think they'll be okay in this division. So I got Dallas at 3.
They haven't played a game yet.
This is also they have not played a single game yet. So
it's gonna happen.
You don't know what the hell they're going to be like. I know Tyler Seguin didn't have some surgery, but they are coming off losing in the Stanley Cup Finals. Ben Bishop is still out. I'm pretty sure he's still injured, which is just like, when is Ben Bishop never injured? I feel like he's injured every year. But Khudobin did sign an extension right after last season, so I believe he'll be the goaltending.
Yep.
He'll be goaltending. I mean, we saw what they could do last year in the Stanley Cup Final, so I feel like they could probably make the top 4. And at 4, I have the Blue Jackets. making it at 4, just because I feel like they're always like a sleeper pick. Like even if they're not playing well recently, I just feel like with John Tortorella as coach, you could just never count them out, because these guys sometimes they just go off. You know, they still have Atkinson, Foligno. They have who's the goalie again?
Lincoln's.
Merzlikins, and
And
who else do they have?
Korpisalo.
Is Korpisalo. There you go. That's what I was thinking of. Korpisalo in net as well. So we'll see what happens with them. I guess the biggest question mark is Dubois. Is he staying? Is he going? We'll see.
Woj.
Yeah, another weird division where it's like a few good teams and a bunch of really bad teams. But I think number one, I'm gonna go Carolina, just because their team hasn't changed that much, and if anything, they got a lot better. Depth wise, with them adding Fost, but you look at guys like Aho, Teravainen, Slavin, and Svechnikov. I think they're really poised to have a really good year this year, and their goaltending is not great, but it's not terrible either. They have Mrazek and they have Reimer. So that's a pretty good tandem to have, I think. 2, I'll go Tampa. They lost a lot of key guys like Bogosian and there's another defenseman, I forgot who it was.
Shattenkirk.
Yeah, they lost. Yeah, Shattenkirk range is great. Yeah, they lost those two. Kucherov's out for the year, so you're gonna have to really weigh in on Point, and Stamkos is only getting older. And losing those two guys in the back end is going to put a little bit more pressure on Hedman, who can handle it. But I just think him easily, he's the number one guy, and he's got McDonough with him in the defensive core. It's going to be interesting to see how they are. And then third, I'll go Nashville, just because they're good defensively too. They got a couple good forwards. I think Saros is the starter this year. I don't know if Rene retire. Is he?
No, I'm pretty sure he's still with them.
No, he's still on the team.
He's gotten a surgery a few years ago, and I don't think he's obviously on the decline of his career. And then 4 is tough. Dallas hasn't played yet. Columbus is a team that's going to outwork anybody. So I guess I'll go with them. I don't really like what I see too much from Florida so far. But I'll go Columbus just because you can really count. Yeah.
Sorry to cut you off there. I was just gonna say I'm happy that the Yandel didn't end up getting scratched though, so the Iron Man streak is still alive.
The Sonk father.
Yeah, the Sonk didn't get sonked.
Yeah, Sonk. Yeah, they sonked Yandel. They were like, yeah, we're gonna scratch him. Yeah, Sonk.
Yeah, and then he pulled out the goal and said Sonk.
Exactly. Fucking beast. Shades. Let's give us your prediction.
Columbus 4th.
Columbus 4th for Woj. All right. Gotta say, I got Brendan. Same as you. I got 1 and 2, Tampa and Carolina. Tampa, in my opinion, still the best team in that division, even with Kucherov most likely out for the season. They just got a really good team on paper, and it shows on the ice. Carolina, number 2, because, I mean, we saw what they did 2 seasons ago and last year, and I honestly, like, the addition of Jesper Fast, I think, is actually really going to help them, especially in the playoffs. But no, solid overall team with the way they play. Love their head coach, Brindamore. Number 2 for me. Number 3, Nashville. This is where I kind of started to get a little hesitant picking them, because I'm just like, I still like Ekholm, Ellis, and Yossi. I like their goaltending. But don't love their forwards. It's just an offense. I don't want to say barren team, but they struggle offensively to score. So, which is why I couldn't put them any higher, but that's where I have them. And number 4, the reigning defending Western Conference champions, Dallas Stars. I mean, they just went to the Cup final. I think I'd be pretty stupid to not include them in the playoffs this year, even with Sagan out, who's a major piece of their offense. So those are the 4 I got. Any thoughts?
Yeah. No, just to add, I feel like this division is just, we'll see what happens. Hopefully, I guess in all these divisions, hopefully there's no, game, because there's been already a couple games postponed within this division. So they'll have to make them up, and we'll see what happens. Probably a lot of back-to-backs.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting how this plays out. So
All right.
On to the Honda West Division. Woj, you started off this time.
This is another division. I mean, they got 3 teams in California that have, I think, absolutely zero shot of making the playoffs. So it leaves it down to Vegas, Minnesota, Arizona, Colorado, and St. Louis. Number 1, I'll go Vegas, just because since they got into the league, they've taken it by storm, and you can't count them out either. And they got a bunch of leadership, a few good veterans, a bunch of pieces that you really need to make to a playoff push, like Markstrom. They had 2 really good goalies. Wait, not Markstrom. What did I just say? Oh, Mark Stone. Same thing. 2 really good goalies
Yeah, okay.
in Lehner and Fleury. Carlson took a little bit of a dip the last year or two, but they got a bunch of really good pieces around that team. Number 2, I'm gonna go Colorado. I think that's gonna be really tight between those top 2, especially after them seeing and beat St. Louis 8-0 the other day. I think they're really gonna go far this year. And they've also got a bunch of great young pieces and guys still in their prime on good contracts. 3, I'll go Minnesota. I think Kaprizov is going to win the Rookie of the Year. He's going to win the Calder. Really good defensive core. They got Cam Talbot on the back end, and they still have Devin Dubnyk. That's another pretty good goalie tandem. And then their depth's all right. They got a lot of older guys on that team, like Parise and Suter. But that's something you're going to need when it comes to the playoffs, especially veteran guys that have been there before or played big moments. And then 4, I'll give it to Arizona, just because I don't want to see St. Louis go to the playoffs again. I don't think Binnington's been that well since he's had that unreal run. And, it's one of Phil Kessel's last years. I think he's getting up there in age, but I think Arizona's going to shock a few people, especially in this division.
I love your reasoning because I just don't want St. Louis.
Yeah, I mean, St. Louis is great. It's just, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm sick of them too for some reason.
Yeah, they've
Shades, I can go
for the
next.
last 2 years.
It's all you, kid.
I got the Avalanche at 1. Their offense is just ridiculous. I mean, Nathan McKinnon, and unless something happens to Nathan McKinnon, they're going to be at 1, because I just feel like he's just on a whole other level right now. Landeskog and they're Makar on the back end, and I don't even know. I haven't seen any of the games yet. I don't even know if Byram's playing yet, but if he's playing also on defense, they got a lot of good defensive prospects coming up too. At 2, I got the Golden Knights. I really like the Golden Knights up front. They just named Mark Stone as captain too, so I feel like that's a nice boost. And they're also another team too. They remind me very similar to, like, they can roll out 4 lines every night too, which is a nice addition. And also adding Pietrangelo, but unfortunately losing Nate Schmidt. But adding Pietrangelo is probably a nice pickup for them. And like Woj said, obviously their goaltending is good. So I got them at 2. I got the Blues just because I think this division's pretty weak. So it's hard for me to pick any of those teams, in California. And then at 4, I got the Wild. I just feel like they've been so bad the last couple of years, but they got Bill Guerin as GM now. They're starting to make more moves. They still have a veteran core. And I also agree with Woj, and I think Kaprizov has a pretty good chance to win Rookie of the Year, and they're off to a great start. So those are my 4.
Well, Brendan, you and I have the exact same 1 through 4. Colorado, in my opinion, best team in the league, not just the Western Conference, but in the whole league. Love their defense, love their forward group. I like their goaltending enough to the point where I think they could comfortably finish first in that division. Number 2, Vegas. Vegas has got the best goaltending tandem arguably in the league right now. I like their overall group, but their center depth just came into question with trading away Stastny. And I honestly think signing Pietrangelo and trading Schmidt along with the loss of Stastny is going to be a detriment to the team. That's just my personal opinion. They lost a lot with those 2 guys. Number 3, St. Louis, like I said, I still think they got a really good team, and I don't think there's any way Binnington can be as bad as he was last year. and they just still got an overall really good team, really good, solid team. And number 4, Minnesota. I wasn't putting Arizona in there because they look like they're about to go into a full-on rebuild. It was between them and San Jose. I trust Minnesota's defense. Their top 4 is great still in this league. It has been for years now. I trust them more than San Jose's defense. Carlson's coming off the injury. Is Burns the same? San Jose's lost a lot too. They just lost Thornton. They lost Pavelski 2 seasons ago. I think they're going to be, I won't say as bad as last year.
Bankrupt.
Yeah, that he might not even play this season.
Well, he's been playing good so far.
Oh, he has? Oh,
I haven't been
keeping
on a rampage.
I've been pretty busy. I haven't been able to keep up.
He's had about I think he had 3 points the other night.
Damn. Anyway, so just last reasoning. Minnesota 4th, just because their defense, in my opinion, is better. Goaltending is better. And I think Parise is going to have a good year. Like you said, Woj, Kirill Kaprizov, he might win Rookie of the Year. So, yeah, 1 through 4. And last but not least, the Scotia North Division, a.k.a. the Canadian Division. I'll go first. Number 1, this might upset a lot of people, but Toronto Maple Leafs, because I think they finally have the capability of winning a division, especially consistent of these teams when they're finally away from Boston and Tampa. And, Matthews, Marner, Tavares, Riley. I really like who did they add on defense in the offseason? TJ Brody. I honestly think that's really going to help them. I like Anderson enough for them to be the number 1 seed in goal and, in the division. But number 2, I got the Calgary Flames. I absolutely love that they added Jacob Markstrom in the offseason. This is one of those teams where they needed that number 1 goalie. And I think Markstrom has the capability to carry that team to the number 2 seed, especially with all the talent that team has got. Yes, Giordano's aging, but I still think they got 1 or 2 good years with that group before they start to decline a little bit. Number 3, Montreal Canadiens. Arguably the best offseason in the league, if not almost definitely a top 3. The reason I couldn't put them any higher is because look where they were in the standings last year. I don't know if everything they did can catapult them that much, but I mean, Price and Allen in goal. They got some good players on defense, good players on offense, young players like Suzuki and Kakaniemi. And number 4, the Ottawa. No, I can't do it. Edmonton Oilers. Can't count McDavid and Draisaitl out. Their goaltending is a huge question mark. I debated between them and Vancouver, but I don't know. Just Vancouver lost a lot to me, and like I said, can't count out McKinnon and McDavid. I mean, McDavid and Draisaitl. Jesus, brain fart. Brendan, who you got?
So Shades, I got the Maple Leafs at 1 as well. Just big Austin Matthews fan. I feel like Marner's also going to have a monster year, but just adding Joe Thornton as well, add some veteran presence for those guys. I got Montreal at 2. I really liked how Montreal played in the bubble last year. They have a lot of young talent up front. Shades, you already named all those guys, so I'm not going to do it again. But also adding Jake Allen as backup too. I feel like he is better in that backup role, as we saw him in St. Louis the last couple seasons. Before he was in St. Louis was he there was he there when they won the cup too?
Oh yeah, he was there long before that.
I was gonna say, yeah, he was always in that backup role, so I feel like that's a good fit for them. But obviously having Price for them he is their backbone. So having Price, he's still only 33. I still feel like he probably has some good years in him. And we saw how he played in the bubble last year against Philly. I like their team, so I got them at 2.
Let's not forget they added Toffoli also.
Yeah, no, they added some good players, man. And I don't know. I like them. Something's telling me they're gonna do some damage. I got the Oilers at 3, Shades. Haven't gotten off to the best start, but I just think this one is it really comes down to they have, probably the best hockey player ever. on their team, Connor McDavid. So it's hard to really count them out, but they don't really have much depth. They don't really have good defense. So I'm really going basically just it's all on Draisaitl and McDavid, and I think they're gonna have a monster year. It's obvious, but I don't know. I'm not. Everything else for them is, it really comes down to that. And 4, I have Winnipeg. I could see why you would take Calgary, but I just feel like they always manage to choke in the playoffs, and I'm just starting to get sick of them. Honestly, that's really what it comes down to. It's not. I don't have really much else to say. But I mean, we know their talent, Chuck, Goudreau, and all those guys. But I don't know. I feel like they haven't shown up for them. So when push comes to shove in this division, I think it's going to be tight. I'm not sure if they're going to get that offense from those guys. I got Winnipeg at 4. I think Laine is going to have a bounce back year, and I like Connor Hellbuck in net. So I got them at 4.
Woj.
I'm starting to
But I think this division's.
No, you finish.
I was going to say, I just feel like this Canadian division is going to be intense because I feel like Ottawa is going to really make things interesting now in this division.
Yeah.
They might even make a push for the 4th spot, but I'm still going to go with my pick, and I'm still going to pick the Jets. But it's going to be really interesting.
I'm starting to think you just want the Flames back in Atlanta. That's why you hate them so much. Now you're just looking at like the division, not even the points or the games played or the wins or losses, but just looking at it, I think it looks so much cooler just to have an all Canadian division. I don't know if it makes it unfair between all the teams about splitting them up from all the other teams in the U.S., but I think it just looks really cool. I think it's a lot more competitive. It makes it a lot more interesting. Probably a lot more of a rivalry in between all these teams, especially from even Montreal and Vancouver, who are thousands of miles away. I think that it creates a bigger rivalry because it's just between all the Canadian teams trying to get in. But with that being said, I'll go number 1, Toronto. They had a Jumbo Joe. Matthews and Marner is sick. Defense is always a little bit of a question for them, but like you said, they added Brody. That's a big plus. And I like Freddie Anderson. I just think that the reasons why they haven't gone so far is because they do ride him into the ground all year and all into the playoffs. They really have no one else helping him out back there. So by the time we get to the playoffs, he's completely fatigued and he needs some rest. Needs a lot of help. 2, I'm gonna go with Calgary. I like Kachuk. I think he's one of the players in the league that literally does everything. He's a little bit like Marchand, but just a lot more skilled. He's getting everybody's faces. Goudreau has had an up and down year in the last few years, but since he's really popped off. But I think they're gonna make a comeback this year. I think this division is gonna make it a little bit more tougher. And they have a lot of guys that have a lot more grit, and they do have a lot of skill too. They did sign Markstrom, which I love that. That's awesome. So that really boosts their goaltending up. 3, this is gonna be tough. I'll go Montreal. Like you said, they had one of the better off seasons. You could see it. Some teams that just sneak into the playoffs one year, and they make a little bit of a run. It really boosts their confidence, and everyone else around the team thinks like, "Hey, we could do this easily." And it kind of just flips like a switch like that. Like they could just turn it on, and they could really become a playoff team out of nowhere. So those are my 3. 4, I'll make it interesting. I'll throw Ottawa in there. A lot of young guys.
I knew it. I knew you were going to say that.
I mean, I can't. A lot of young guys.
Just because you're a huge Stepan fan.
Yeah, no, Derek Stefan's my boy. They got Stützle, they got Stepan. Shabbat's he's gonna be up there, possibly a Norris winner eventually too. He's really good. They got Josh Norris, who not a lot of people know of recently, but he's a rookie this year, and I think he's gonna do really well. They have some sick new jerseys. They got Matt Murray in that, which is kind of like a flip-flop. I don't know how much better he's going to be now that he's not in Pittsburgh with how successful that team's been. But, I'll give the 4th spot to Ottawa. Edmonton is just like all over the place. I don't know what their deal is. They've always had the best players come out of the drafts. They've had like a first overall pick in like 4 years in a row or something like that, or 4 out of the 5 years. and they just either shut them out or they can't get it done. But they lost Clefbaum for the year. Darnell Nurse is probably the next guy next to who's the Swedish guy they traded for from Jersey for Hull a couple years ago?
Larson.
Yeah, Larson. Like those are their two. I really don't think they have much to compete. I think they're gonna get pushed aside no matter how much Draisaitl and McDavid go off this year.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons I picked them. It's just Edmonton always seems to be decent in the regular season, but just it's a team not built for the playoffs.
You can't have two guys running the team the entire year. Impossible.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think they're going to do anything if they make the playoffs. They're not going to do shit.
Yeah.
I feel like McDavid's going to go on a rampage within this division, and he's already gotten off to a rampage, but they haven't gotten off to the best start, obviously. But I don't know. I feel like I could see them completely having a shit season, but we'll see what happens.
I thought you were going to keep talking there.
No. I was just that was it. I just, see what happens.
All right. Well,
but we'll.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, I mean, we keep fucking interrupting each other. I was going to say, it's going to be interesting with all these divisions, I guess, We'll see who's the closest to trying to pick all of them.
Yeah, us interrupting each other. That was like our hallmark of the last podcast we did.
Yeah.
So follow us on Twitter at Pucks and Brews, Pucks EN Brews, at Pucks EN Brews. On Instagram, Pucks and Brews Pod, spelled normally. Follow us on Facebook. There's Woj with the unsponsored brew of the episode. Follow us on Facebook, Pucks and Brews Podcast. We'll get the Twitter name sorted out soon. Long stupid story. Follow us on YouTube if you're watching with us right now. Thank you very much. But follow us on YouTube, Pucks and Brews. Can't miss it. Podcast. And any final thoughts, boys?
Rangers at Devils, man, tomorrow. So I'm looking for hopefully another win from us and same game as we played against the Islanders. Yeah. Just got a shutout, which is shut out rest of the season. I don't want to see anything less.
I mean,
Gorgiev's never coming out of net. He's just fucking 54 more games, shut out every game.
This Jersey team seems tough. I mean, I don't think they're gonna go far, but I mean, I think played a few good games recently. I think they beat Boston once. They win today. They lose. They didn't play today. I don't know what's going on. It's been a long.
No, I don't think they played today.
Who knows? I mean, this is really fun. Thank God this is over because I've had a piss since we stopped talking about the Rangers.
Well, I mean, dude, we have once the season started, it's like 116 straight days with at least one hockey game on. So tis the season. Gotta love that hockey's back.
Oh yeah.
And like I said, follow us on our socials, which I just mentioned earlier, and we will be coming to you with episode 2 of Pucks and Brews on the 26th, Tuesday the 26th. In the meantime, everybody be good. Thank you for listening or watching, and we'll see you then.